DC has gone full Marvel, and it seems that both publishers are in competition to see who can kill the comic shops quicker while still looking like the good guy. We also finally heard from Jim Lee, and we also heard from Joe Quesada.
I'm completely clueless.
And once again, we hear from Miss Western Canon Smasher herself, the writer for the TV show She-Hulk, Dana Schwartz, who might not be writing for that show very much longer. But first, I would like to do something that the creatives at Marvel and DC have had a very hard time doing, expressing gratitude. Thank you to all of the subscribers. Thank you for liking and sharing the videos, and I thank you for your continued support.
Nerderotic.com.
Both Marvel and DC have been entertaining us with their stupidity, so I'd like to thank them for that. Unfortunately, you're killing comic shops, and the end is no longer nigh, folks. The end is here. First, it took us over a week to hear from DC, and when we finally did hear from them, and it wasn't Jim Lee, we heard that it was full steam ahead. We're going to continue doing work. I don't know how they were going to do that, considering that their printer closed and their distributor shut down. But then they followed up with this message, and this comes from Bleeding Cool. And again, they did not give the heads up to comic shops first. DC Comics distributes to comic shops without Diamond. DC Comics announced that they will use other distribution methods besides Diamond Comics distributors to get into comic shops during the thing that shall not be named, and also announced they will publish a weekly selection of digital comics. Now, this is very disappointing coming from DC, who has always been the nicest of the two between Marvel and DC towards comic shops. But this is no longer the DC that I knew and you knew. This is AT&T DC, and this decision reeks of desperation. And this tells me that there was truth behind the rumor that AT&T was thinking about shutting DC down, and I believe that this is their last gasp. Now, let's go to Brian Hibbs' response to this. DC's announcement is disgraceful. By separating stores into have and have-nots, they are going to hasten many stores' demise, and they are encouraging retailers to violate stay-at-home orders and risk their health for corporate profits. And I agree with that. But that's AT&T. It sounds very GameStop-ish, doesn't it? Further, not in the announcement, but buried in comments in the retail threads, how disgusting, how cowardly. They are not going to halt digital release of new books. This is a dire mistake, and even a tiny amount of cross-channel conversation will put the majority of retailers in enormous economic peril when coupled with the above. I have never been more emphatically disheartened and disappointed by a so-called partner. More soon. Sorry, Brian. They are not your partner. You have been abandoned. But there's a book coming down the line that could be the savior of all the comic shops that are left. It could be the Dark Knight Returns of the Watchmen of the 21st century. That's right. Gotham High. First look, Batman meets Gossip Girl in new graphic novel Gotham High. Author Melissa De La Cruz and illustrator Thomas Patilli preview a Batman story like you've never ever seen, except we have seen it because it was a concept for an animated series over a decade ago. Credit to Jeff Hicks from World Class Bullshitters for catching that one, because I had completely forgotten it. Even after 80 years of Batman comics, movies, and TV series, you've never seen the Cape Crusader like this. DC Comics' new graphic novel, Gotham High, reimagines a teenage Bruce Wayne, along with young versions of Catwoman, aka Selena Kyle, and the Joker, aka Jack Napier. Remember Batman 89? That was cool. In a world that feels more on par with Gossip Girl, a show that was canceled in 2012, and Crazy Rich Asians, a movie that most comic book fans didn't see, than anything that's come before in the canon, and thankfully this isn't canon. Entertainment Weekly, when DC Inc. approached you to reinvent YA versions of popular comic book characters, because that's never been done before. What drew you to Batman? Melissa De La Cruz. My husband is a big Batman fan, so when DC called and said, we want you to do a YA line, what character do you want to do? She put the phone on hold and said, husband, What are superheroes at DC Comics? I think Batman, honey. Okay, I want to do Batman. It's such a fun, iconic character that I could put my own spin on. What excited you both about debuting new versions of not only Batman, but also the Joker and Catwoman? This is getting funnier as it goes. De La Cruz, Bruce Wayne is the billionaire. He's the richest man alive. So I thought, wouldn't it be fun if his family was Chinese and from Hong Kong? Wouldn't it be fun if I just drew from my own life because I have no ideas whatsoever? That made it feel real. There's been a big influx of wealthy Chinese people who have moved from Hong Kong to Arcadia. Oh, I'm sure that's going to have the rest of America identifying with it. Do you even know where Arcadia is? In Los Angeles. And that's where my mom lives. I'm part Chinese. My brother lives in Hong Kong, so I thought it would be great to put what I know into Bruce Wayne. I just wanted him to be a little more representative of my background and giving him an authentic family. According to Melissa De La Cruz, Bill Finger, Paul Dini, Jerry Conway, Chuck Dixon, Steve Englehart, Jim Starlin, Mike W. Barr, Denny O'Neil, Frank Miller were all incapable of giving Bruce Wayne an authentic family. Alfred is not just his butler, but also his uncle. His gay uncle from Hong Kong. It gives this fabulous, crazy, rich Asian's sheen to it. No, it just shows that you had no ideas, and this is a copy of an homage, of a ripoff of plagiarism. What did you use as inspiration for the new version of Batman? De La Cruz. I pitched a kind of Gossip Girl Batman. In my mind, I wanted to reinvent Chuck Bass. How many of you out there have heard of Chuck Bass from Gossip Girl? Unfortunately, I know who that is because my wife liked the show. He's still Bruce Wayne. It's not the Great Gatsby, so he's still brooding. He's still a loner. He still has all the iconic Batman personality. You can't mess with that much. But making him Chinese was a no-brainer. Everyone was on board from the beginning. Of course they were, because political correctness is social tyranny. There's no way anyone at DC was going to tell you no. The people at DC had to know that there was an animated series pitch for this very concept, but they were too scared to tell you because of political correctness. And we're going to move on from this. And again, I went over this in detail on a live stream yesterday that was ghosted by YouTube, so a lot of you probably didn't see it, and it will be linked in the description. Before Masha Dean became Martha Wayne, she was the most beautiful girl in Hong Kong and from the richest family. And tell me if you haven't heard this one before. Few knew that it was her money that started Wayne Enterprises.
I know what you did. You're a damn terrorist. All right, just get the hell out of here. I got a goddamn campaign.
This is death by 1,000 paper cuts. The constant deconstruction of our favorite characters by hacks who don't know anything about these characters. Leave them alone. Create your new characters all day long. And this is harmful. Now, it's not as harmful as Snowflake and Safe Space, which were new characters, but a deliberate middle finger to the fandom. That's why they were created. This also helps dilute the character of Bruce Wayne / Batman, which doesn't help comic shops. It also dilutes the market because it's flooded with a bunch of garbage that you won't be able to sell. Who in the hell is this comic for? That audience you have been chasing for 10 years isn't there. But not to be outdone, Marvel is back in the news, and Mrs. Let's Kill Western Canon herself, Dana Schwartz. I've already done a video on her. You could check it out right here. Very briefly, we're going to go to Bounding into Comics and the great John F. Trent. Marvel's She-Hulk writer Dana Schwartz, customer gatekeeping is a profoundly toxic subculture. Marvel Studios' upcoming Disney Plus She-Hulk TV series writer Dana Schwartz recently declared that paying customer gatekeeping is a profoundly toxic subculture. And yes, I am replacing the word fan with paying customer because that's what we are. These comments come after Schwartz railed on South Park back in February, saying it seems impossible to overstate the cultural damage done by South Park. What does this have to do with comic shops, DC, and Marvel? Well, everything. Again, I've done a video on what preceded this, and I'm not going to go over that, but Dana Schwartz, Mrs. Kill Western Canon herself, posted this on her Instagram, dancing at the pity party. An innocent enough post. It's a graphic novel, nothing I would carry in my store when I had it, but it can exist. I have no problem. But a lot of people notice that she doesn't have any Marvel graphic novels on her shelf. Why is that important? Well, she's going to be writing Marvel's She-Hulk.
It's going to be a glorious hot mess. Oh, yeah.
On Disney Plus, a brand new streaming service that needs a lot of successful shows. She doesn't have any experience writing television or comic books. So this brings us to a very salty but good question from Juicy J Revival. So where on your Instagram is there a mention that you're passionate about comics? In a medium where frauds are spotted like criminals casing a bank, how do you truly believe you'll write something interesting? Very good question. He follows up with a very salty response. I would say good luck, but that would imply you give a crap beyond your own upward mobility. So how about you don't F up an iconic character created by a company that has grown the IP for nearly 50 years? Well, the problem with that, Juicy J Revival, is that company does not exist anymore. Disney Marvel is a completely different company that doesn't give a crap, so it's not entirely Miss Let's Kill Western Canon's fault. Dana Schwartz, earnest question, do male writers deal with this? John answered it in this article, and I will answer it right here. Yes, just to name a few: Chris Chibnall, Alex Kurtzman, Rianne Johnson, and Jar Jar Abrams. Also, imagine seriously believing anyone got into comics for the money, LOL. Well, for one, you're writing television and not comics. And you're right, people went into comics for passion, and I doubt that's something you have for the character of She-Hulk. I'm doubting you're going to make a She-Hulk that looks like this or looks like this. Juicy J Revival. It's a connected medium with a character driven by its original source material. I like this guy or girl, not sure. My question is this: why are you interested beyond the money? What makes you want to write about She-Hulk when you clearly are not interested in that genre? And because Dana Schwartz doesn't have a real argument in response, she hasn't displayed any of her passion for She-Hulk yet. She just responds with attacks. Customer gatekeeping is a profound toxic subculture. The people who think enjoying a thing gives them ownership over it. Another entitled creator. Again, this was on March 29th, 2 days ago, while the comic book industry is falling apart. I don't think for one moment, Dana, that you are going to write She-Hulk like John Byrne. I think you're going to write She-Hulk like Melissa De La Cruz wrote Bruce Wayne. Dana and Melissa, you might not be aware of this situation because you haven't been lifelong comic fans or even comic fans for months. So allow me to nerdsplain a little bit to you. Fans are protective of their characters because they have been supporting these characters for decades with their hard-earned money and their very valuable time. And when somebody new comes in and destroys that character on a whim and then leaves, it tends to piss them off. So yes, they are protective and they are owed respect and they are entitled to that. In Dana's defense, she is young, so she would have trouble respecting something she doesn't understand: the paying customer and the fan. I find it hard to understand how she got the job writing for She-Hulk when she can't even articulate a tweet. From Bounding into Comics, John F. Trent has been on point this month. Marvel Studios She-Hulk writer Dana Schwartz compares the you-know-what to Star Wars: The Fall of Skywalker. In a now deleted tweet, but the internet is forever, Schwartz wrote, "You-know-what is going to be like The Fall of Skywalker. It's a nightmare. It's going to be a struggle." I doubt until very recently Dana has ever struggled with anything in her life. And let's be real, she is perfectly safe at Disney Marvel because she has the right belief system. But if she was on the other side of the aisle or even a centrist or she was a dude, she'd be sacked by now. The only thing I'm struggling with is how she got the job in the first place. And to prove that she is absolutely qualified to be writing a TV show for Disney Plus, she followed up with, "Also, we're not going to be able to fully grasp what went done without reading a ton of extra literature." And yes, that's how she phrased the tweet. I'm looking forward to She-Hulk. All of this has consequences. Consequences that you might not intend. Consequences that hurt comic shops, that hurt employees at comic shops, that hurt employees at Diamond. That's what's weakened this industry. And I know you don't care, Dana, because you're writing for television, but you just pissed off a comic book customer, which hurts the comic shops. And you did that 2 short days ago, and this news just came in. Diamond warns off cash flow problems, halts payments to vendors, meaning they can't pay Marvel and DC. So I don't know if you're going to see Gotham High anytime soon in print. Diamond Comics Distributors is holding previously scheduled payments to its vendors this week and probably in the future, attributing their decision to cash flow difficulties due to the thing that shall not be named's impact on the supply chain. So things are looking grim for the comic shops, and it's pretty clear to me that DC and Marvel are moving on, and they'll come back to the ones that are remaining to do business in a very different comic book industry. We did hear from Jim Lee, and it's a good thing. He's doing what he does best. He is auctioning off sketches to help comic shops. So good for you, Jim. And it's also clear that he is publisher in name only. He hasn't made any statements. He hasn't shown any leadership. So maybe I was a little hard on him because he's just a figurehead. Speaking of figureheads, we heard from Joe Quesada and we found out what he'll be doing on his downtime.
I've decided that I'm going to start broadcasting live from my studio starting on Monday.
The same Joe Quesada who was attacked paying customers, the same Joe Quesada who has attacked YouTube critics here on this platform, the very same Joe Quesada who has supported trolls who dox YouTube critics on this platform.
Not quite sure what shape this show's going to take, but I can assure you of 2 things. 1, hopefully it'll be fun. And 2, it's going to be a glorious hot mess.
You and I can both agree on that, Joe, but welcome to the platform. I'm looking forward to your first live stream. What could go wrong? I'm sure you're just going to get that big, warm YouTube welcome. Yes, there is a lot of comic shop owners who are upset because they might not be able to pay their bills or open their doors again. Yes, there are a lot of fans who are upset that they might not be able to go to their favorite comic shop anymore. Yes, there is a lot of people distressed that their favorite industry is falling apart in just a matter of days because it was weakened by creatives who decided to antagonize, divide, and disrespect the fans. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please support your local comic book shop if and when you can. Please be safe, and I'll see you in the next video.
Dirterotic.com. Please subscribe.